Hello, my name is Irina Moga, and I'm glad to be part of this online reading series. I'm grateful to the Romanian Cultural Institute in New York and to Bucharest inside the Beltway for the opportunity. As for myself, I'm a Romanian-born Canadian writer and the author of several poetry collections. Today, I'd like to read some poems from my book, Glass Circe, and I will finish off with poetry in French from my latest book, Variations sans palais. But first, a couple of questions. Why poetry? What is it about poetry that invites us into a space of introspection? What is it about poetry that heals us and provides us with clarity of purpose? It is my hope that at the end of the short reading, thoughts about the nature of poetry will remain with you. Thank you for joining me in a short poetry walkabout.
I will start this poetry reading with a poem called A Prelude to Pollen. It's a poem in which I poke fun at myself. A Prelude to Pollen. Hollow, the bastion of the garden awaits the hoe, the hose's murky gurgle, and a spate of seeds and bulbs, aided by unscrupulous winds. A prelude to pollen, abundant pollen that would cling to my toes come end of June, sticky and yellow. Now, simply a curtain surmised among yet to be measured rhizomes and fumes. A coalescing weight that hangs on to a barely discernible crown as I lay claim to my throne. I, the Queen of Mulch. The next poem is called Marine Debris. I had placed a malefic ring on my finger unknowingly when I thought of the high seas. It reeked of putrid fish and calming oyster beds from which a filigree of sand poked at mother of pearl veins and scoria of coral reefs. It was marine debris, an elliptic kelp forest where the heart of the deep went florid, pulsing, alive within volcanic rifts. Weighed in by waves, a floor of footfalls which bore no significance to me fell out of step behind the curtain of the algae, sifted by shrieks of dolphins at the end of the Mycenaean seas. This never-ending Atlantis I had wedded without a second thought for its accursed blue. The next poem that I will read is a series of 5 short poems that can very well fit within the space of a Twitter message. It's called 5 Twitter Poems, hashtag Ramparts of Words. 1. Petals in rings of light. Your garrulous whispers divide the darkness into ramparts of words. Night, the restlessness of a rose. 2. A street of lost footfalls, the street that I walk up every day, each step measured by a second in someone's life. A darkening. 3. Time, an echo, zip tight by dreams. 4. A colored coffee cup simmers hot, its fumes a sea star in the making. Waves. 5. A watchmaker's shell holds up the second whose spiral winds up. Spring. A scattering. A voice that keeps praying behind black mirrors. The next poem is called Baskets of Silence, a Doll's Parachute. Petals arching under a basket of silence, chock full of air veneers, and the doll's parachute. Air made into the secrecy of mists, hues tattered, and the foghorn of a vine tendril breaking up the surface of our talk. An inconsequential wingtip, the shredded vignette of a bird in flight. Where did this thought run its course? I am playing with math concepts next to whip up a poem. Numbers are important in everyday life and in stanzas alike, and this is my rendition of an October day. Asymptote. October morning, the light seen through the backhand of a silver moon, anchoring us to the bottom of the night, through which the hours pass, like prime numbers through Eratosthenes' sieve, mindful of our doubles and ghosts alike. An algorithm of lunacy and autumn winds stretched out on this day's asymptote. Let it be said of October that there's no boundary at its last outpost of fickle worms, a time to enjoy when the end is near, freed from the poison of numbers, inside the veins of the last green leaves. And here we are, left behind, in the race to follow an unseen summer, our hearts muted at dawn. I would like to continue with the poem Hiatus in French. Hiatus. Le bras de la pendule s'étend d'une rive du désir au suivant abri qu'il invite de ta sagesse. Une capsule faite de bruyères et de ronces brouille le mouvement du pollen et des pépins importés par les maelstroms du nord sur des parachutes d'ailes de guêpe. L'espace près du terminus des sentiments, au parfum d'un vieil herbier, tient en tenaille des farfadets d'ambre pris au va-et-vient de l'air. Je me porte témoin du hiatus que le bras de pendule inflige en son balancement dans le continuum des heures inconnues, ce conte d'insectes et d'or moulu.